Hey everyone, before we dive into today's video, I need you to pay very close attention because what I'm about to share could put actual money in your pocket. If you've been hearing rumors about dividend checks coming from a new Trump executive order, you're going to want to watch every single second of this video. Don't skip ahead, don't scroll away, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly whether you qualify and how much money could be heading your way. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because we break down financial news that actually matters to your wallet. Today, we're tackling something that's been blowing up across social media, something that's got millions of Americans asking questions, and honestly, something that's been surrounded by a lot of confusion and misinformation. We're talking about the latest executive order from President Trump and what it means for dividend checks, who's eligible, and whether this is real or just another internet rumor that's gotten out of control. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've probably seen the headlines, you've maybe gotten a text from a family member, or you've scrolled past a dozen posts claiming that everyone's about to get free money from the government. And look, I get it. In today's economy, with inflation still hitting hard, grocery prices through the roof, and people struggling to make ends meet, the idea of unexpected money showing up sounds almost too good to be true. But here's the thing, we're not here to hype you up with clickbait. We're here to give you the facts, the real information you need to make informed decisions. So, let's start with what actually happened. President Trump, since returning to office in January 2025, has signed multiple executive orders aimed at reshaping economic policy, energy independence, and federal spending. Some of these orders have focused on deregulation, some on energy production, and others on restructuring how government programs distribute benefits. The specific order that's causing all this buzz relates to potential changes in how certain government benefits and economic stimulus measures might be distributed to American citizens. Here's where things get interesting and where we need to separate fact from fiction. The term dividend checks is actually a bit misleading. What we're really talking about are potential direct payments to Americans based on specific eligibility criteria. Unlike the stimulus checks we saw during the pandemic, which were broad based payments to most Americans, this new approach is more targeted and ties into specific economic policies around energy production, resource management, and federal program restructuring. The core concept behind this executive order draws inspiration from models like the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend, where residents of Alaska receive annual payments derived from oil revenue. The idea that's been floated in various forms is applying a similar principle on a national level, particularly relating to federal lands, energy production, and natural resource extraction. Essentially, the argument goes that American citizens should directly benefit from resources that belong to the public. Now, let's talk about who would actually be eligible for these payments. Based on the framework outlined in the executive order and subsequent clarifications from administration officials, eligibility would likely be tied to several factors. First and foremost, you need to be a United States citizen. This isn't available to permanent residents or visa holders, it's specifically for citizens. Second, you need to have filed taxes for the previous year or be registered in the federal system as a dependent. Third, there are income thresholds being discussed, though the exact numbers are still being finalized through the regulatory process. What we're hearing from sources close to the administration is that the payment structure would likely be tiered. This means that lower income Americans would receive larger payments, middle income earners would receive moderate payments, and higher income individuals might receive reduced payments or no payment at all. The thresholds being discussed are roughly in line with previous stimulus payment structures, with full payments going to individuals earning under $75,000 annually and couples earning under $150,000 annually. But here's the critical question everyone wants answered. How much money are we actually talking about? And this is where I need to be completely honest with you. The amounts being circulated online range wildly from a few $100s to several $1,000s per person. The reality is that the final payment amounts haven't been officially determined yet. What the executive order does is establish the framework and directs federal agencies to calculate potential payment amounts based on revenue from federal land leasing, energy production royalties, and other specified sources. Early estimates from policy analysts suggest that if fully implemented, these payments could range anywhere from $300 to $1,200 per eligible recipient in the first year. However, these are projections, not guarantees. The actual amount would depend on revenue generation, budget allocations, and whether Congress provides the necessary appropriations to fund the program. And yes, that's another crucial point. Executive orders can direct agencies and set policy priorities, but actually spending money requires congressional approval in most cases. So, when could you expect to see money if this all goes through? The timeline is another area where there's been a lot of speculation. The executive order directs agencies to develop implementation plans within 90 days. That means we're looking at detailed proposals emerging sometime in April 2025. From there would need to be a regulatory process, budget considerations, and systems set up for distribution. Realistically, even if everything moves quickly, we're probably looking at late 2025 or early 2026 before any actual payments would be distributed. Now, I want to address some of the scams and misinformation that are already circulating around this topic. This is really important, so please listen carefully. If you receive an email, text message, or phone call claiming that you need to pay a fee to receive your dividend check, it's a scam. If someone asks you to provide your bank account information, social security number, or other personal details to claim your payment, it's a scam. The government will never ask you to pay money to receive money. Any legitimate payment program will be announced through official channels, and you'll either receive payment automatically based on your tax filing information or you'll apply through an official government website. Let me also address the political dimension of this because I know it's on everyone's mind. This executive order has become politically divisive, as many things are these days. Supporters argue that it's about giving Americans a direct stake in their country's resources and providing meaningful economic relief. Critics argue that it's fiscally irresponsible, that it could drive up deficits, or that it's a political maneuver rather than sound economic policy. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to think politically. I'm here to give you the information so you can form your own opinions. What I will say is this: whether this program actually materializes in the form being discussed depends on multiple factors beyond just the executive order itself. It depends on legal challenges, congressional cooperation or opposition, budget realities, and the complex process of turning executive directives into actual implemented programs. We've seen before where executive orders get announced with great fanfare, but then face implementation challenges or legal obstacles that delay or change them significantly. For those of you wondering what you should do right now, here's my practical advice. First, don't make financial decisions based on money you might receive from this program. Don't go out and spend money you don't have anticipating a payment that may or may not come. Second, stay informed through legitimate sources. Follow official government websites, reputable news organizations, and verified information channels. Third, protect yourself from scams by being skeptical of any unsolicited contact about these payments. And fourth, if and when an official application or registration process is announced, make sure you're working through official government portals only. I also want to mention that this executive order is part of a broader economic agenda that includes multiple components. The dividend check concept, if it moves forward, would be just one piece of a larger puzzle that includes energy policy changes, regulatory reform, and various other economic initiatives. Understanding the full context helps you see how this fits into the bigger picture of economic policy direction. So here's where we stand as of right now in January 2025. An executive order has been signed that establishes a framework for potential direct payments to Americans. The details on eligibility, payment amounts, and timing are still being developed. There are legitimate questions about implementation, funding, and whether this will actually happen as outlined. And there are unfortunately already scammers trying to take advantage of people's interest in this topic. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. In times of economic uncertainty, it's natural to hope for relief and to be interested in programs that might help your financial situation. That's completely understandable. But it's also important to approach these topics with a healthy dose of skepticism, to verify information before believing it, and to protect yourself from those who would exploit your hopes for their own gain. I'll be following this story closely and will bring you updates as more information becomes available. If there are official announcements about registration, payment dates, or eligibility criteria, you'll hear about it on this channel with full fact checking and context. That's my commitment to you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and lets me know that you want more content like this, breaking down complex financial and policy news into information you can actually use. Drop a comment below and let me know what questions you still have about this topic or what other financial news you'd like me to cover. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future updates on this story and other important financial news. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money. Stay informed, stay skeptical of too good to be true claims, and always verify information through multiple, reliable sources. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.